There is a strange pattern in Chinese history. The most brutal succession struggles almost always happened after the most powerful emperors died. This seems to make no sense. You would expect the strongest rulers to leave behind the most stable foundations. But history proved again and again the exact opposite. Qin Shi Huang is the clearest example. He destroyed 6 rival kingdoms, unified the writing system, standardized weights and measures, and forged 7 nations that had been at war for centuries into a single empire. While he lived, there was only one center of power in the world. That was Qin Shi Huang himself. But there was one thing no one dared raise in his presence. What would happen after he died? It was not that no one thought about it. It was that no one dared. Because in Qin Shi Huang's logic, to discuss the emperor's death was itself an act of treason. And so the entire empire never made any preparation for his departure. In 210 BC, Qin Shi Huang died at Shakyu. The news was sealed. 3 men sat inside a closed carriage, Zhao Gao, BC, and Hu Hai. Beside them was the emperor's body. Heat was rising. To cover the smell, they ordered a cart of salted fish to travel with the convoy. And inside the carriage, the fate of an empire was decided. A forged imperial decree, the death of the eldest son Fusu, the crowning of Hu Hai. No ministers were present. No institutions were consulted. No one had the standing to say no. From the conspiracy at Shakyu to the fall of the Qin dynasty, only a few years passed. An empire that had seemed unbreakable collapsed once it lost the one person holding it together. So was this simply a problem with Qin Shi Huang himself? 900 years later, another empire gave its answer. The Kangxi emperor reigned for 61 years. He suppressed the 3 feudatories, recovered Taiwan, and led 3 campaigns against the Dzungars, bringing the Qing dynasty to its height. In Kangxi's presence, the court spoke with one voice. None of his sons dared openly show any desire for the throne. Kangxi's authority was absolute, so absolute that every question of succession was pushed down and held there. But being pushed down is not the same as being resolved. The crown prince Yanren was removed from his position twice. Accounts of why vary, but one thing is clear. Kangxi had grown weary. The crown prince had accumulated too much political influence. The moment the crown prince fell, something shifted across the entire court. Everyone suddenly understood. The throne would not be decided by any rule or precedent. It would be decided by whatever Kangxi said last. And so every son with a claim began to move. The eldest had seniority. The 8th had reputation. The 14th had favor. The 4th was quiet and patient and calculating. Every faction placed its bets. No one knew the answer, because the answer had always been locked inside one man's mind and never written into any law or institution. No one was waiting for a rule. Everyone was waiting for Kangxi, waiting for him to speak, or waiting for him to speak no more. When Kangxi died, decades of suppressed energy erupted at once. This is what history remembers as the 9 Sons Succession War. 2 powerful emperors, separated by 900 years, left behind almost identical chaos. This was not coincidence. There is a trap built into the nature of powerful rule itself. A dominant emperor tends to solve every problem through personal authority. The court depends on him. Decisions flow through him. Even the daily workings of government gradually lose their ability to function on their own. Institutions remain, officials remain, but what actually holds the empire together becomes more and more the emperor himself. Over time, institutions grow weak. They lose the ability to operate independently, and when the moment finally comes that they are needed, they no longer know how to work. When the strong man is present, everything appears to function. When the strong man is gone, it becomes clear that everything was resting on a single pillar. And when the entire country depends on the emperor himself, the question of succession becomes the emperor's own problem to carry. The most direct consequence of this is the heir. For the ruler accustomed to holding all power alone, what does a truly capable heir represent? A second center of power, a different voice beginning to be heard at court. Someone who, while the emperor still lives, is already preparing for the world that comes after him. To a ruler like this, an heir is not a guarantee. He is a threat. And so the instinct is not to cultivate, it is to suppress. But suppression creates its own problem. If the heir is kept weak and unprepared, then after the emperor dies, there is nothing but a vacuum. To cultivate is to invite a threat. To suppress is to guarantee a crisis. Both paths lead to the same place. And so most powerful emperors chose a third path. They looked away. They delayed until death made the choice for them. This was not a pattern that historians invented looking backwards. Emperor Wu of Han lived it himself. He reigned for 54 years, one of the most ambitious rulers in Chinese history. His crown prince Liu Zhu held that position for more than 30 years. He was capable. He was respected. By every measure, this should have been the ideal arrangement. But that was precisely the problem. Liu Zhu's greatest strength became his greatest danger. A crown prince with genuine standing and reputation is also inevitably a potential rival center of power. In his final years, Emperor Wu made a catastrophic error of judgment in the witchcraft affair. Liu Zhu was driven to the edge. He raised troops in desperation and was defeated. He took his own life. Emperor Wu later expressed deep regret. He cleared Liu Zhu's name, but nothing could be undone. He had spent a lifetime expanding the empire's borders, and he had destroyed, with his own hand, the heir he had spent decades preparing, not because he did not love his son, but because within the logics of personal rule, a son who grows too strong becomes a danger in himself. There were those who tried to find a way around this. Yongzheng had witnessed the Nine Sons' succession war from the inside. After taking the throne, he created the system of secret succession. The name of the chosen heir was written down and sealed behind the tablet, reading upright and bright in the palace of heavenly purity, to be revealed only after the emperor's death. On the surface, open competition for the throne disappeared, but the one deciding the succession was still the emperor himself. The form of the struggle had changed. The foundation of power had not, which showed only that the problem ran deeper than anyone had found a way to fix. Qin Shi Huang, Kangxi, Emperor Wu of Han. 3 rulers, 3 dynasties, nearly 1,000 years between them. The names were different. The The circumstances were different, but the root was the same. When power depends entirely on one person, institutions begin to depend on that person too. And when that person is gone, the institutions go with him. This is why the most brutal succession crises in Chinese history followed the most powerful emperors, not because they were too weak, but precisely because they were too strong, strong enough that the entire country rested on them alone. There is one problem, however, that no amount of strength can solve: that you will die. When everything depends on a single person. While he lives, he is the system's answer. When he dies, he becomes the system's flaw.